Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be doing a review on the Greenhill Rumble boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Greenhill Rumble boxing gloves. Got mine in the pearl white and gray colorway, 12 ounces. It is a lace-up closure only model. You can get these anywhere between 8 and 16 ounces. And one additional colorway, which is going to be black and gray. The glove is made of full genuine leather construction, manufactured in Pakistan. It does have a polyester nylon satin inner liner and multi-layer foam padding with a medium to firm consistency over the knuckle area. Now, this is gonna be the second pair of Greenhill boxing gloves I've used and done a review on. I did a pair of their gloves. I did a review on a pair of their gloves a couple of years ago. I think it was around maybe 2018, 2019. And those were pretty average gloves. I wasn't really impressed by them. And I wanted to give these Rumbles a try, and these definitely surpassed my expectations in several areas, which we'll discuss in more detail here in a second. But first things first, from a design and sizing standpoint, this is their 12-inch glove, or 12-ounce glove, excuse me. And I'd say that this is pretty much on point. I'd say, in terms of size, when it comes to the height, width of the glove, it's pretty much on point with your average 12-ounce glove. It's not overly large or too compact. It's right in the middle. So I could foresee the 14-ounce and the 16-ounce model of this glove being pretty much on point with sizing. So if you have longer fingers, larger hands, and you end up getting the 16-ounce versions of these, I definitely foresee those being very comfortable for yourself, because these 12 ounces are pretty much perfect in terms of sizing. Even with my hand wraps on, I don't feel like they were too restrictive and too compact, nor were they too large where I felt like my hand moved around too much inside of the glove. The white leather on here has a little bit more of a pearl-like finish. It might be really hard to capture in the video, so I'm trying to get some of the light to reflect off of the glove. But it's not just like a regular flat white color. It has kind of a pearl shine to it, which I really like. It gives it a little bit more of a cleaner look and kind of a classier look to the glove. The leather itself, I'd say, is more of a satin finish. It does say Greenhill, like all of their gloves on the back right there. That's basically how they designate and design their logos on their glove. Very simple and straight to the point. It does say Rumble, which is the model right here on the thumb. One other thing that catches your eye that's pretty unique is going to be the wrist support on the back of the wrist. This actually kind of reminded me, which I'll be doing a review of pretty soon, are the Hit and Move turtle mitts. But it kind of reminds me of that same kind of turtle design, the shell of a turtle on the back of the wrist right here. You have multiple areas of this dense padding on the back of the wrist, which is segmented with this double stitching, and then you have that Greenhill logo. One thing I do like about this wrist support is when you lace these gloves up, the laces sit really nicely in these little grooves. So even if you bring it up higher above the wrist and you lock your wrist in up higher right here, the laces do a nice job of really sitting in those grooves and locking in, even if you went down here as well. So the placement of the padding and where the stitching goes through does play a part in how well these laces tie into the gloves. So I definitely like that. And it's very rigid. So if you're looking for a good wrist support where you don't really have a lot of flexion on the back of your wrist, then these gloves definitely help with that. You have that gray piping at the bottom. You have that polyester nylon satin liner. I'd say about an inch of padding on the back of the wrist. The padding that's up against your skin on the inside is much softer than the padding on the back, which is much firmer. Rotating to the palm side again, softer on the inside, firmer on the outside on both. You have black flat laces with plastic tips. The laces are too short. I wish the laces were I'd say maybe a half a foot longer. So if the laces gave you maybe like about 6 more inches on each end, so 12 inches total, they would be perfect. I was only able to go and tie these laces one time around. I usually like to get 2 revolutions around the wrist support to really lock it in. And I feel like these laces are definitely too short. So they need to lengthen the laces in my opinion. And then you have all these logos on here. This is kind of their way of marketing the technology they use in the glove. So you have genuine leather, made with care, handmade with care. It says premium quality standards. So just basically advertising. 12 ounces. And best Green Hill performance sports gear. R&D is in Germany. And best quality foam. And I believe Green Hill is originally a European or a German company. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, make sure you guys correct me on that. But you have that. Double stitching on the palm. You have a really nice size grip bar that's consistent in terms of width all the way through. So I definitely like that. And you'll notice there's no ventilated holes on the thumb or the palm. A leather attached thumb at the very tip where it needs to be at. So that's pretty much it. A really clean looking glove. The gray on the inside of the thumb as well. Quality wise, these gloves are actually really nice. I mean, the leather is held up really nicely. I don't have any weird pockets or any kind of bumps on the actual foam. The leather is held up really nicely. You know, the logo hasn't worn off. I sweat a ton when I train, so no issues with the logo peeling. The weight of the glove, they both came in, I believe, at like 11.8, 11.9 ounces. They're pretty much on point with weight, weight-wise. So the stitching on the back looks really good. Stitch pattern looks clean. You know, you can argue some of the stitching right here where that leather is a little messy, but you really have to nitpick. And looking here on the palm, stitching is pretty clean as well. Laces, again, too short. Liner, no issues on the inside. You do have the warning label tag on the inside there, as well as the weight tag that says Green Hill. But no issues with the liner. Thumb is done really nicely where the index finger meets the thumb. Stitching looks clean. Palm side looks good. Finger compartment looks good. So overall, it's done very nicely, and because of the weight distribution, that's probably one of my favorite features, is this wrist support, this turtle design on the back of the wrist. So it gives you good distribution of weight, and you don't have that weak flex point in the middle of the glove where you can literally grab the back. I can grab the back of the glove, and you don't have to worry about the glove just hanging low on the front and being too top heavy. Comfort of the glove, putting your hand in. Nice, comfortable satin liner on the inside. Thumb positioning is perfect. You put your thumb in there, it slides right in, places nicely. The piping around the thumb, you can see it's deeper. So the piping starts lower, and that usually kind of gives you an idea, is just the length of this piping and the placement of where it's at. Now, if you get gloves like the Everlast MX Fight gloves I've had, which I can't stand the thumbs on those, you'll notice that the piping is really short and just kind of cuts through. And that's essentially where your thumb is going to be going through when you slide your hand into the glove. And you can see with these, and a lot of other gloves that do a good job of making the thumb open, it allows you enough room for your thumb to slide in, but the fat part of your thumb right in this area isn't getting choked down by this piping. So this would be this part of your thumb right here, this big meaty part. So when you make a fist, you know, the last thing you want is that piping to really pinch down on that fat part. And you can see that's essentially, this is going to be my palm, this is kind of the edge of my hand, this is that fat part. So they did a really good job of keeping that roomier. The attached thumb is done nicely. You can see it's at the very tip, so your thumb's not going to be poking out. It's comfortable. It's deep enough to where my thumb doesn't jam. And the hand compartment as well, nice and deep, wide enough where my hands aren't crowding against this 12-ounce glove. So you can expect a 14 and a 16-ounce version to be a little bit larger. So in terms of roominess, it's perfect. It's not too wide, not too narrow. I don't feel like my fingers are crowding each other. Good placement on the grip bar, as well as the neoprene pad that covers this stitching right there. If I were to argue for any, I guess, opportunity, would be there's a tiny amount of bunching on the back of my fingers right around here, but it's honestly really not that bad. I mean, just something I noticed, but when you're training with these, you probably really won't even notice that. And the wrist support feels really, really good with this glove. Protection and performance of these gloves. You can see that the foam on here, I would say, is more on the medium to firm density side. It's not rock solid, but it's definitely not super soft and where you can just push right through it with your hand. So you get a good satisfying feeling, but it does a really good job of absorbing shock as well. Definitely suitable for sparring. Definitely great for bag work, especially bag work if you're using a more densely filled bag that's harder and it's not as soft and forgiving on your joints. This glove, the consistency of the foam and it being a little bit on the denser side will give you that pop you're looking for, but it'll also absorb the shock better on a firmer bag like a ProLast, a Nazo, any of those American-made bags with that tarpaulin exterior where it's very, very firm and it takes a lot of time to break in. I feel like these gloves do a good job of giving you protection, and you don't end up with sore knuckles at the end of the day. So I'd say that these are a little bit more on the protective side, but you still get a decent amount of feedback with these as well. Pricing wise, these gloves cost $200 for either pair. You don't have to worry about the price changing depending on the sizing that you get. I'd say they're just a hair on the high side. Again, whenever I look at like the cost of gloves nowadays, I look at how many other companies are doing a similar thing. There's so many companies now that have so many different models out there. So there's this huge array and huge variety of pricing. And so you have to kind of think about, okay, is there something similar to this glove at a lower price point or a higher price point? And if this glove is more expensive than others that are similar to it, does this bring anything different to the table than the other gloves, other than the branding and the name and the logos? Because, you know, logos and all that doesn't really affect the quality and the performance of the glove. I'd say this is a little bit a hair on the high side, but at $200, would I still get these? Especially for the wrist support, I definitely think the wrist support is one of the best features on this glove. For somebody that maybe has a pre-existing injury, maybe you injured your wrist doing bag work, then I feel like the wrist support on here is really good. It would be nice if they had like a bag glove version of this, similarly like what Rival does with like a V-strap that comes across with the Velcro. With this similar style of wrist support, that would be a game changer for Green Hill, in my opinion. But I'd say this is more of like I'd say a 160 to 180 pair of gloves. I mean, the leather on here is really nice. Quality's done really good. They're pretty much on point with weight. I like the foam padding they use over the knuckle area. I think the gloves look really good. And the only thing I would say is just a hair above on pricing, because there's a lot of other competitors out there that make a great glove as well. So pros for the gloves, definitely gonna be the design. I love the color of the glove. This pearl white looks really clean, on point with weight. The quality is solid. They're very comfortable. And I like the density of the foam padding. It does a good job of protecting your hands, especially on harder, heavy bags. Cons on this glove, I would actually say that the cons would be, it'd be nice if they had more colors to choose from, except, you know, instead of just black and white. If they made a Velcro version of this glove, because they just make this particular model in lace up, and then maybe reduce the price just a little bit to make it a little bit more attractive in that budget range. So if you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box, or where you can find these Green Hill Rumble boxing gloves. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.